Are you familiar with the voice inside your head that's quick to judge you or criticize you or blame you the moment you do anything wrong, or even start to criticize you for things you might do wrong in the future? The inner critic is a word that's sometimes used to describe this part of our mind that's constantly putting us down for things that we think, say, or do. You're not good enough. Why don't you try harder? What's wrong with you? Why would you even think something like that? Why did you say that? You're so hopeless. Who would want to be friends with you? These are just some of the words that the inner critic might say to us as we try and go about our life. Some people hate the inner critic, while other people have a bit of a love-hate relationship with it. They don't love what it says, but they think it might help them to do things better in their life than if they didn't have it there. In any case, one thing that most people agree is that it can really spoil your day, or even your life. Many people have tried a number of things to get rid of their inner critic. Some people argue with their inner critic. They prove it wrong. Some people distract from their inner critic, watch movies, go on the internet, scroll. Some people suppress their inner critic. Some people use substances, maybe food, maybe alcohol, something else, medication, an activity, exercise, sleep. But the problem is that even when we somehow win the battle with the inner critic, we rarely, if ever, win the war. It's always there again the next day and the next day with rejuvenated energy, new ammunition ready to fire again at us. So rather than giving you more strategies to try and win the battles with this inner critic in the never-ending war, I want to share how we can actually deal with the inner critic more effectively by addressing the roots beneath why it's showing up in the first place. You see, the inner critic notices and criticizes us for anything that our mind perceives as a failure. Perceived failures on our part, such as being late to a meeting, not sticking to an exercise plan, gaining weight, saying something that has upset someone else. Whenever we see that something we've done has broken an internalized rule that we hold, and often something quite important to us, the mind criticizes us for that failure or rule violation. So let's take an example to illustrate this relationship. Let's imagine a person called Jackie. Jackie, from a young age, was taught by her parents that no matter what, she should always work hard and do her best. Anytime she would come home with anything less than an A, her parents would be quite harsh to criticize her for her lack of effort. One time, she remembers making a mistake that cost her on an assignment, which resulted in her getting a C- rather than a B or even an A. She still remembers coming home to explain to her parents what had happened. And even more, she remembers how upset they were, how disappointed they were when they found out her mark. That night, going to bed in tears, she made a promise to herself. Never again will I make a mistake like that. A rule was born for Jackie. Now, 20 years later, Jackie is a doctor, a GP working in a private practice. She accidentally double books her clients one day, and both clients show up at the same time. Being clever, Jackie finds a way to navigate the situation, so they're both out of there within a reasonable time. But on her way home after work that day, the inner critic shows up. How could you make such a simple error, Jackie? What's wrong with you? You're meant to be a doctor. If you're making a mistake like this, what kind of mistakes are you going to make for your patients? You're just not good enough. You're just not good enough. You see, here's the important point to remember. The inner critic isn't the problem, in the same way that a bitter apple on an apple tree isn't the problem. Yes, it's bitter to taste, and you don't want to eat it. The problem we need to address lies at the roots. If we want the apple tree to produce sweeter fruit, then we need to work at the roots, at the soil. Better nutrients, better water, and in time we'll start to see the apple producing sweeter fruit. In the same way, if we want to change our inner critic, then the work has to begin at the roots. What's the root of the inner critic? And this is the important point. The roots of the inner critic are the internalized rules that we've created to protect ourselves from what we fear. Often these rules were set up long ago, like the story of Jackie, and they exist beneath the surface, just like roots of the tree, but influence everything that happens above the surface. I must never make a mistake. I must never disappoint others. I should always be liked by others. I should never upset people. I should always achieve highly. I should. I need. I must. Or I fail. As long as these belief systems, these internalized rules, these cognitive patterns, as long as they exist within us, then the inner critic is simply doing what we've programmed our mind to do, to avoid violation of these internalized rules. The first step to creating any change in our inner critic is to build awareness and reorient the rules that are no longer working for us, to reorient rules that aren't working into values that are working for us. Reorienting rules into values is one of the most meaningful things I enjoy doing with my clients because of the difference I can see it has when we work from the ground up. Rules and values, what's the difference? To get a feeling of this, I want to invite you to a brief exercise. Close your eyes for a moment if you're willing to, and just imagine that you had the rest of the day completely free. That basically someone else is going to take over all the have-tos on your list today, whether it's work or parenting or errands that you have to run. Anything that you have to do is all going to be taken care of. And you have the day just to do whatever it is you please. That you have the day, even a couple of days, to do whatever it is that you want to do. Nothing else is going to pile up. Just take a moment to close your eyes and imagine what you would do. Picture yourself actually doing that thing, and just take a moment to watch the scenes play out as you enjoy and engage with the activities that you would find meaningful and enjoyable in this time. Notice what that feels like to picture those things. Now, feel free to pause it if you want to open up that experience a bit more, but I want you to now reimagine that scene with a slight twist. Imagine that you're doing the same things that you just imagined, but this time, I want you to picture that there's some sort of authority figure standing next to you. Someone who's watching you closely, whatever you're doing, evaluating you, holding a clipboard and pen, and making sure that you're not wasting the time, making sure you don't stuff up, whatever that might mean. How does the experience change when you picture that person there beside you for the whole day or the rest of the days? You notice that the actions might be the same. You're still doing the same thing. Maybe you're having a coffee, watching a movie, sitting at a beach, reading, whatever it is, the activity might stay the same, but the experience is completely different from the first instance of doing it freely to the second instance of doing it with this authority figure standing next to you. This is the difference between rule-based living and value-based living. This is the difference I feel we need to experience if we really want to create change with the inner critic. You see, at the Harvest Clinic, I've brought together a group of clinicians that have come to the same conclusion as me, that if you want better fruit in your life, the work needs to begin at the roots. Quick fixes, distraction techniques, thinking strategies might quiet things like the inner critic for a while, but I believe that unless we experience this fundamental shift, we'll only be winning small battles. So if you're interested in doing some of this genuine, intentional work on your life, I invite you to reach out to invest a small amount of time working on the roots and the soil of your mind in order to produce a more abundant future in your life.